In today's video, we are making keto barbecue chicken pizza. So in this recipe, we are just using a fathead dough for the crust, and I don't know why, but I've been craving a chicken barbecue pizza, so I decided, well, let me go ahead and try to make one, a keto one. I haven't had one since before I started keto, so let's go ahead and try it and see how it comes out. So before we get into the video, if you're new here, if you like keto recipes that are simple, budget friendly, family friendly, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can be updated every time we drop a video. If you guys have Instagram or Facebook, I do have an Instagram and a Facebook. I will leave the links down below, but in case you guys don't get notifications on your YouTube, then you can also follow me there as well. I do post an update every time I release a video. So, I mean, if you're interested, then I will leave those links down below. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright guys, so to get started on this keto barbecue chicken pizza, we're going to start off by making a fathead dough crust. So in this recipe, we're going to be using 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese, and you're going to add to that 1 ounce of cream cheese, or 2 tablespoons. And we're going to add that, and then we're going to place it into the microwave for 30 seconds at a time until it gets to about 2 minutes, or until it's really melted. Now, when you pull it out of the microwave, it should look something like this, where it's just really easy to combine. The cheeses are melted. Be careful you don't leave it in there too long to where the cheese starts to burn. You definitely don't want that. So it's usually at about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. That's all you need. So definitely check it every time you put it in for 30 seconds. But sometimes mine are like 90 seconds. Sometimes they're 2 minutes. So definitely check it at the 90 seconds. But I would definitely do 30-second increments. Now, once we have the cream cheese combined well with the mozzarella cheese, we're going to go ahead and add in the other ingredients. We're going to start off by adding in the almond flour. We're adding in 3/4 of a cup of almond flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So the reason I add in this first is because if you add the egg right into the cheese, you don't want that hot cheese to start cooking your egg, right? So this is optional, but I'm also adding in a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm actually also adding in 1 teaspoon of instant yeast. This is actually optional, but I've tried it with both, and I just feel like adding in that teaspoon of yeast gives it just a little bit, improves the flavor just a little bit. And then I went ahead and also added in a little bit of onion powder. And then now what you're going to do is you're just going to mix it all in really well. And then we are going to go ahead and add the egg to it. And then that's what's going to start making our dough. So I just want to make sure that all the dry ingredients are covered in. And then we'll go ahead and add this 1 egg on top of there. And then we're going to combine it all and just start combining it really well to where everything is in. You're going to start kneading your dough, and then you're going to start kneading it, and then it's going to form into like a dough. So this may take just a little while, and you do need to move fast with fathead dough. So just remember, if you just let it sit on the counter for a while and you're moving really slow, then your dough is probably going to get hard and you're going to have to melt it again. So, and that is fine if that happens. You can totally do that. I have had to do that before. So you just try to knead it as fast as you can until it's ready. Now, fathead dough can be kind of sticky sometimes, so just get your hands a little bit wet under the water. You can use olive oil. You can use oil or water. It doesn't really matter. But why waste oil if water works just fine? So I'm just going to be using water. And then just start kneading your fathead dough here until everything is pretty well combined and it forms a dough. And then it's going to get less sticky as it goes. But if it just keeps on getting sticky, just go ahead and keep wetting your hand just a little bit just to go ahead and get the job done. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and lay down some parchment paper, and we're going to lay this down just so it doesn't stick. And even though I'm using parchment paper, I'm still going to spray it a little bit with some olive oil spray. Okay, so now you have your ball of dough formed here. Now we're going to just lay it on top of the parchment paper, and we're just going to flatten it a little bit. And all you're going to do now is we are going to roll it out into a pizza crust. So normally for this recipe, it makes about a medium-sized pizza. And what we're going to do is lay down another piece of parchment paper right on top of that, just so that your dough doesn't stick to your rolling pin. So go ahead and do that, and then we will start rolling it out. Alright, so once you're done, go ahead and peel that top layer of the parchment paper off. And I mean, your crust doesn't have to be perfect. This one's actually pretty good compared to some other ones that I've done. And I'm going to just spray some olive oil on top. That's optional too, but it might help it cook a little bit better. Now, before we put it into the oven, we're just going to get a fork and we're going to poke some holes into the crust. This is going to help it cook a little better, get a little bit crispier. And another thing is it's going to prevent, sometimes when you're cooking fathead dough in the oven, it will bubble up a little bit, and this is going to prevent that from happening. So just poke some holes in it with a fork all over the place, and that's going to prevent your crust from bubbling up in the oven. Alright, so that is done. Now it's going into the oven at 350 degrees, and we are going to bake this for about 10 minutes. Alright, we are done, and mine actually took about 12 minutes, so 10 to 12 minutes. Just keep your eye on it at about 10 minutes. Some people end up doing 15 minutes, so it might depend on your oven, but this is how mine came out. And so now we're pretty much ready to do the topping. Okay, so for my topping, I'm using the Ray's no sugar added barbecue sauce, which is actually my favorite brand of sugar-free barbecue sauce. So we're gonna add on, it's about 3 tablespoons. Unless you like it really light sauce, then you can do a little bit less, but I usually do about 3 tablespoons is perfect for me. So we're just gonna go ahead and put 3 tablespoons on there, and then we're just gonna spread it to cover the pizza crust. Okay, next up, I'm adding on some mozzarella cheese, shredded mozzarella cheese. It all depends on how much cheese you want on your pizza. You know, just use it to your own preference. So spread that cheese on there, on the crust, on top of that barbecue sauce. And then the next thing that we will be adding is we're going to be adding in our chicken. So I went and cut these into little like 1-inch pieces of chicken, and what we're gonna do is just cover that up. I just did regular seasoning with them, salt, pepper, paprika, just what I normally do. And you know, you can do this with leftover chicken that you have, you know, make a chicken barbecue pizza with it. And then we're just gonna lay that on top of the cheese, and then it's to your liking, so add as much or little chicken as you want. That's enough chicken for me, maybe a little too much. And so then we can go ahead, and next up we're going to add our bacon. You can either cook some bacon and then chop it up, or you can use crumbled bacon that comes in a bag already. And I actually use crumbled bacon that comes in a bag from Sam's Club. So next up we are adding in some red onion. Barbecue chicken pizza definitely needs some red onion on it, so add on your red onion. Unless, of course, you don't like onion, then leave it off. And, you know, just put however many slices you want on there. I definitely love red onion, so I'm definitely going to put a little bit more. Now, the carb count for this recipe is pretty much going to include how I'm topping my pizza, so take that into consideration if you add a little bit more or a little bit less to your pizza. And the ingredients and everything will be in the description down below. So now we'll go ahead and put it into the oven. We're going to put it on broil on high, and we're just going to put it in just for a couple minutes, not even 5 minutes. Okay, so mine was good at about 3 minutes. I think I did an extra minute on it at 4 minutes, so it could have definitely stopped at 3 minutes. You know, definitely keep an eye on it when you're broiling it. You know, I definitely say you should check it maybe after 2 minutes broiling it. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and cut into our pizza and you know, try it out. And when I'm cutting this pizza, there's definitely a nice crunch to it. So it definitely is not the kind of pizza where you're gonna hold it in your hand and it's just gonna fall. So it does have a little crisp to it. Obviously, look at the edges. But I'm sure if you just keep an eye on it, then your crust will come out just fine. I mean, it shouldn't affect the taste or anything. So next time I'll just have to remember to, the last time I made this, I rolled the crust out not as thin as I did this time. And the crust was not as dark. You can either cook it a little bit, a couple minutes less in the beginning when you're baking just your crust, or just keep an eye on it when you're broiling it. Okay, now here's something a little extra I like to do, and this is really optional, but I'm just trying to go an extra step here, and I'm just going to get a little snack size sandwich bag and put in some sugar-free barbecue sauce. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and push it all to one side of the bag after I seal it, get it really tight on one corner, and then I am going to snip a tiny little hole into the corner, not too big, okay, and then I'm going to drizzle it on the pizza. Just for a little extra barbecue flavor, plus I think it'll make it look really nice. And I have to be extra. Okay, there we go. So now let's give it a taste. Pizza's done. I have it right here. Let me just show that to you. Okay, so that's good. But yeah, so this is a hit here, I think. And you know, I did drizzle some barbecue sauce on top. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But yeah, give it a try and let me know if you did give it a try. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And I will see you on the next video.